What is going on? I'm Zedmont. As you probably know, the rainmakers are coming. By the time you watch this video, they'll probably already be out. So what I'm going to be doing here is building a how to defend rainmakers base. I'm going to try to speed things up with a bit of time lapse, but as you can see, I've already got a grappler. I've already got 2 doom cannons. Those are going to be my go-to protos for this video. Now, before you get started, the first thing you want to do is save your layout. If you already have something you like, make sure you save it before you make any changes. Now, I'm going to be doing this. I've actually got the help of the old-fashioned paint thingamajigger, so we can use the Telecaster later on if we have time. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do a time lapse, set up my base, and then if time permits, go look at some other bases and see what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, and hopefully keep this video fairly short. But for now, let's just get into the slow-mo build. And what I'm going to do to get into my slow-mo build is I'm going to start with my Hammerman base, because that way I've got everything off to one side, gives you a little bit more room to build, makes things a little bit easier. Obviously, your mileage may vary. I am not a lawyer, other acronyms that you might enjoy. Nonetheless, here we go, time-lapse time, microphone off. I'll talk over this later on after I've recorded it, but for now, it's time to build the base. core with warriors. They're probably going to have to clear a bit of mines, which should help a little bit. I've also staggered my defenses. Rather than having straight lines, I tried to go slightly off, so they have to veer a little bit. Helps slightly, not going to make huge differences. I've got my shock launchers up front. They don't have a ton of range, so I figured, why not just put them on the beach? That way they're going to have to deal with them as soon as they drop their troops, and they are far enough apart that you can't shock the boom cannons and the shock launchers at the same time. So you're going to have to either drop to one side, maybe BART out one doom cannon and the grappler and the shock launcher, or the doom cannon, grappler, and boom cannon. Either way, they're going to have to use quite a bit of GBE just to drop their troops. Now, obviously, snipers up the front. Snipers, once in a while you'll get rainmakers that kind of bunch up, but pretty rare, and that's why they're on the shore. These ones, as you may have seen in my other videos, rainmakers, when you drop them, tend to come out of the boats and just step forward into those snipers' ranges. So that's why I've got them up the front. And then boom cannons on the corners. I like boom cannons on the corners because as they try to come forward and get, say, like the vault, they'll end up getting in range of that corner boom cannon, which works very well. Now I've got my machine guns spread out. I like to have my machine guns and or flamethrowers behind the core because warrior hits with bullet end up taunting the stuff in front. And then I've got my rocket launchers way back here because once they get up into range of the core, I want them to have to deal with something. And also that ends up protecting the stuff that's back in here. And that's also why I have my machine gun back here and a machine gun back here. So overall, a pretty simple base. We've got lots and lots of stuff at the front, and that's what you want with with rainmakers, because they're not going to be able to smoke them anywhere. Like maybe one or two smokes here and there to protect your troops, but realistically, in order to stop rainmakers, you want to be front loaded. And look at that, we're now 4 minutes away, just showing how long this has taken me to build this base. So overall, we want to have some flamethrowers and machine guns around core. I like to place my mortars just at the very edges. Little bit different here, but that way if someone forgets to shock a mortar when they use warriors, we're going to just clip the edges of their troops. And shock launchers in action. Grappler, quite a bit of health, 30,000 health. That will help. Doom cannons obviously will be a dooming mouthful for some rainmakers. Let me know what you think. I don't know necessarily if this is a great idea, setting up a rainmaker base, because it's just going to set me up for other raids, but I figured, you know what, might as well try and stop some rainmakers, might as well try and get some intel from them, because people are going to be using them, and hopefully this will slow them down just a touch. One more thing, I don't like to have anything touching. As soon as you have things touching on these corners, for example, I'm going to move this mortar back a little bit if I can. Anything touching just says, when you BART out my doom cannon, you're going to get GBE from my vault. When you BART out my grappler, you're going to get GBE from the mortar, for example. So that's why I like to spread them out a little bit, make people work for their free GBE. And overall, that's it. That is my anti-rainmaker base. I'm not a person who builds these kind of videos or ever rebuilds my base. So actually, let's just go like this and let's save right away. Let's save this as no rain. A little bit of a Blind Melon song, I believe. Nonetheless, let me know in the comments if you like this, hate it, if you have any suggestions that I can use to improve my base. Otherwise, I'm Zedmont. Thanks for coming in. Peace. Man, that sounded deep.